All right. Well, welcome everybody. Erev Tov, good evening. We're so glad you're with us, those of you joining us in person and also all of you joining us from the comfort of your own home. I know it's pouring outside, and so I know many of you opted to watch from home. And we have a very cool technology today we're trying out for the first time to be able to show exactly what Sofer Neil is writing up close. So we're very excited about that. But we're most excited that we have Sofer Neil Yerman, who came all the way from New York. Welcome. We're so glad you're here. Sofer Neil has been our Torah doctor here at Temple for over 3 decades. He has been taking good care of our 7 Sifrei Torah for many, many years. And we're so honored that you're here with us today. With that, I'll hand it over to you. Welcome. And thank you for sharing your knowledge, your skill, and the art of Torah with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi. It is an honor and a pleasure. Shalom, Mishpacha. And welcome to your temple. And thanks for welcoming me. I'm so thank you. I really am very happy to be here. And I'm also happy that I'm going to have a chance to sit down and get closer. I probably don't need this microphone right now.
You do, because thousands of people are watching.
Hello, thousands of people. Is there a camera on me right now?
There is.
Oh. To all of you at home.
Who cares?
Shalom. And welcome to your temple. Okay, so I'm going to sit down. Okay. Is this okay for the camera?
If Jake says it is, then it is.
Is it okay? Is this okay for the camera, even if I sit? Fantastic. Wow. Technology, just amazing. Okay. Anything more complicated than a feather, I'm lost. So, yeah. Okay. Okay. So, well, it is good to see you again. And I must say, I have met all of you many, many, many times before, and all of your mishpacha. I've met your families actually from the 1900s and all of the 1800s and 1700s. I have met them from all the countries they come from. I've also met your grandchildren and great-grandchildren and the ones who are alive today and the ones who are about to be born. I'm one of the, I probably sound like I live somewhere in outer space and maybe have sprung a few, coils and springs and leaks. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
We all met at Sinai.
I beg your pardon?
I said we all met at Sinai.
We all met at Sinai? That's one correct answer. Where else? Where else have I met you hundreds and hundreds of times? Seriously. In Shabbat prayer, exactly. Okay, and where else?
In the Torahs we read.
In the Torahs we read. Thank you, Rabbi. In every letter, every single letter, the way that it is written, and in what it says, what the letter says by itself, what a number of 10,000 granules of ink say by themselves is nothing. What we impart to it and what we teach about it and what we remind ourselves about the meanings stay with that letter as long as we keep teaching it. So therefore, when we write the Torah, and many scribes do this, and not only scribes, those who have written Torah scrolls, who have represented all the people who never wrote a Torah, the one appointed to write for their communities, who have been loved by their communities and supported by their communities, is the messenger who sings as he writes, and writes the song into the Torah, which is why the commandment says, in the Torah, the commandment says, V'ata, and therefore, kitvu lochem et hashira hazot, write this song for yourselves, v'lamda et b'nei Yisrael, and teach it to the children of Israel, and the children of Israel teach each other. I was taught the other day by a number of 3- and 4-year-olds. And they reminded me, as a matter of fact, I want to get the little friend that I travel with. Oh, Emma, can I ask you, please? Thank you. I heard one of the, I might get up out of the chair and wander a little bit. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the Latin name for this little friend is Worrius Relivium. Worrius Relivium. She takes the worry when people write Torah with me. You see, she worries for them so they don't have to worry when they hold the quill and actually have to write the Torah. They love this little bird. They put it close to their face and they hugged it and they had to pet it before they left the room. So anyway, she travels with me. We'll leave her here. And so I heard one little boy mention God, and I said, not knowing that this is what is taught, has been taught here, and it's such a wonderful lesson. I heard the little boy say, something about God, and I asked, I said, oh, where is God? And one little one said, in the sky. And the next little one said, all around us. And the little girl said, in our hearts. That was it. And I was thinking, these children should be simultaneously on MSNBC and Fox News and remind the adults what is important. That God is in our hearts. And probably the most single important commandment in the Torah was singled out by a great philosopher, poet, scientist, teacher who was born in Cordoba, Spain, and the scholars are still arguing in the year 1135 or 1165, but we know he died in 1204, Maimonides. And he was one of the contributors to the many books of rules, not the only rule book, but the many books of rules about the Torah scroll. He said the name of the book in his Mishnah Torah series was Sofer Ahava, the book of love. And he singled out that word. And the commandment, ve'ahavta, and that is the commandment, and you shall love, and that's it. It is all there, because contained in that little capsule is the message that had gone out to put a living, breathing soul into carbon black. That carbon black being a symbol, an ot, a letter is a symbol. It is a number. It is a letter that makes a sound. It is also a warning, an omen. It's also a life. Every letter in the Torah represents a life. And it represents the names of the teachers who teach. V'lamda et b'nei Israel. So Rambam singled that out as the most important word, and we learned that in that word we are how we are to love. Now, that last commandment of the Torah does not tell us how we comport ourselves and how we bring the various aspects of how the different regions of our being together. The Torah tells us that in Ve'ahavta b'chol levavecha, right? Uv'chol me'odecha. Okay, I just skipped one, didn't I? With all of our heart, with all of our soul, and all of our being. That is our physical being and our invisible being. And we channel all of this, into the nexus of the fingers, and through muscles and nerves and bones and our whole corporeal being. We actually move the feather as an instrument of God's will and as an instrument of our will. There is a yud, there is a letter very prevalent in the Torah that keeps pointing. This is a yad, this is a yud. It's a pointing finger. That's it. Every time you see a yud, and you see it 31,522 times in the Torah. It appears more than any other letter in the Torah. You heard this before? No, you didn't hear of it. Oh, now you're hearing of it. Okay. And the letter tet that lives next door to the yud, because the yud is a 9 and the yud is a 10 and the tet is 9, only shows up 1,805 times. Right? Yeah. 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 Now think of it. The letter tet gets a crown, right? For goodness, right? So you would think there would be goodness symbolized in the whole Torah. But the letter Yud stands for the name of the Holy One of Blessing, the holiest name of God in the Tetragrammaton. But sometimes we have to look for goodness, and sometimes we overlook it. But it's there to remind us. It is there to remind us. So I never feel alone, even if I sit day after day and week after week and month after month with a feather, and, well, not really alone, there's my little friend with me. And being with all of my brothers and sisters and cousins and parents, great-grandparents. It's really fantastic. And we have an understanding about, so I just want to submit, this is just kind of by way of introduction. I will be getting into some, tachlis, some bottom line stuff about how we put the Torah together, but I really wanted to kind of get into a little bit of an introduction of, where I'm coming from and what I've learned over the years and how I've been, and what I've been taught by the blessed people who I learned from. I just had a thought, when I did that pointing finger, I wanted to share this. I was in a congregation. This was many years ago. I think maybe about 24 years ago in Needham, Massachusetts, and I was, which is pretty close to Boston, and it was Rabbi Robert Miller. It could be. And it was on Pudding Stone Lane. That was the name of the temple. And I was there at 8 o'clock in the morning. And the 3 and 4-year-olds came in, 2 classes of girls, and the songbirds and the robins. And they came walking in holding hands, and then they sat down on the floor. And I showed them a little baby Torah, and I asked them if the Torah, I said, this is a baby Torah. We have to help it. I said, this is the Torah, like a dress. Is this like a dress? And I showed them the mantle. I said, could you say mantle? They said, mantle. Great. I said, that's right. Well, can you help me take off the mantle? And a few of them helped me take off the Torah's dress. And then I showed them that there was something around the top of the body of the Torah, and we had to take it off. I said, this is like a necklace, isn't it? It's very fancy. It was very shiny. I said, the Torah is like a princess, right? And well, that was age appropriate at that time. And yes, it's like a princess. They agreed. And I said, and this is called, I told them what it was, and then I'll get back to it. And then I showed them Rimonim, and they said Rimonim. And then I showed them this, and I said, and this is called a yad. And little Jennifer gets up with her 2 red ponytails and freckled face and Levi jumper, and she comes over to me, and she's looking up at me, and she's pulling at my talit, and because she heard the word yad, she said, you know what? I have a front yard and a backyard. Yeah.
Very nice.
It was very, yes, it's one of those delicious moments. So basically, I'm wondering, I know the camera's on, I want to invite people soon to come and look at various things, and would that be okay? Because there is some show and tell here, and then I can explain things as the camera's over here. Well, actually, we can do it now.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. And then we'll talk about the scroll and other things. Okay. All right. Well, we can stand or roll over to the table. Okay. I have a little setup. So just kind of wander and take a look. And some things you might wonder about. A question was asked before. Okay. Okay.
Where should we go, Neil? Just anywhere or?
Yeah, I think everyone just kind of take. You know what? Yes, we should. That's right. This is a much better way to do it. Let's all gather. Let's all gather over there, and then we'll come over here. Okay. Thank you. That's very good. Okay.
Is it okay to stand on this side too?
Yeah, wherever you're comfortable. I'm just going to point you certain things. Okay. So this is and this is a little bit of show and tell. So let's get a feel. I'm just going to borrow some things from over there. We might as well talk about the parchment first, okay? Okay. So we have a Torah. I think it is the Torah Vav, and it lives here in the chapel. And it's a Torah that's written on deerskin. It's very dark. Have you all seen it? Yeah? Oh, yeah. And this is goat skin, and it's made to look like deer skin. Okay, so how many different kinds of animals? What are the 4 basic kinds of animal skin that we can write on? Sheep. That's there. Deer, goat, sheep, and cow and calf. That's it. You got them all. That's it. So now this looks like a piece of leather, and essentially it is like leather. This is dyed. I can see the lines are scored for. The lines are scored. It was an extra piece. I was writing a Megillat Esther. Did you want to feel it? I mean, it's actually safe to touch. It is safe to touch. You see now it's soft. Where that? Okay, because you see the writing surface here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and so the parchment really absorbs it. This is actually goat skin, but it's made to look like deer skin, and you can tell it's goat skin because you have all these little dots. Let me see if this can work. Okay, hold on. I'm going around. I'll be right back. Just a second. This might work. Okay, this might work. Okay. Hold it. Wait. What? You can see it? Oh, it might look better with that. Okay. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. Now there are these little kind of dots. Okay, that is a goat skin pattern, and it's made to look. This is made to look like deer skin. And I'm going to bring some stuff around to show you. I'll do the show and tell by actually bringing it around, and I'll move this out of the way. So. I didn't do it. Actually, it was done in Morocco. Now, actually, there are certain skins that are dyed Algerian. The Algerian dyes are. There are different places that have colors that are in their area that they can get, and there are different processes of dyeing parchments. Now, this is actually. There were 2 types of, if it was deerskin. We have that deerskin Torah, which is deerskin parchment. Other deerskin Torah scrolls are written not on cloth, which is the word for parchment, but on gevil, and gevil is the entire skin. So sometimes you'll see that the back is very spongy, and it's not smooth. You can almost take off certain pieces. The deerskin scrolls actually last longer than most other scrolls. We have deerskin scrolls on our planet We're not sure of the other planets yet, but they'll probably be checking in a few hundred years, and we'll be sharing Torah stories and stuff. We have deerskin scrolls that are 800, 900, 1,000 years old. Yes, not not here. Nowhere in Tennessee, or probably not in the United States. But
Of the four,
right.
Of the four, what are most Torah scrolls written on?
Of the calf, I would say calf. A sheepskin actually is. I don't have any sheepskin with me, but I'll show you. This is a calfskin vellum, and actually it's a younger animal. And you felt the other one, so I'm just gonna. Now this is isn't that totally different?
Yeah,
Do you want to? Yeah, that it is. It is totally different. Okay. Yeah, it's very soft, isn't it? Yeah. So this is the back. This is the back. You see, it came from off the spine, and this is where people go. Oh, but we live in a very pre-packaged economy, right? A lot of people eat meat, but don't think about the source. Hamburger, sure, but if the animal is slaughtered and it's slaughtered in a ritual way, then, what do we do with the skins? We don't throw them away because that would be an avera, right? That would be a sin to waste any part of the animal. Okay, so this is almost thin enough to write a beautiful mezuzah. And sometimes it's, the skins are younger. Often, how many of you have, when you come home, if you have a mezuzah on the doorpost, or do you touch it, or kiss your fingers and touch it? Is that okay? Well, we shouldn't forget that there are 22 lines of writing in there on a 2-inch by 2-inch, or even an inch and a quarter, or 5 1/8 inch by 5 1/8 inch. But these are the 22 lines. Obviously, it is not a skin of an animal because it would be a really strange animal. But just as a reminder. Also, we are reminded that there are skins that get older and thinner. Okay, now I'm going to put this under. I'm going to show you. Now, every Simchat Torah, I get calls, 17, 18 calls. You'll never guess what happened when we rolled out the Torah on Simchat Torah. You'll never get, and I say, wait. I'm having a psychic moment. It tore. How did you know? Well, I always get 17 to 18 calls. This is very, very fragile, thin parchment.
What kind is that?
This is also calf, and it's coated it has a coating on the back. I'm going to go over there for the home audience, and I think I'll go the shorter route, and I'll try not to knock over the screen while I'm doing it. Okay, so I'm going to show the back part first. I'm going to take this out of the way. Okay, do you see this area here that has these cracks? Okay, now what you're looking at, let me get something. Okay. Okay, all right. All right, I have here a piece of very fine sandpaper. So what's on here is log. And the log is a combination. Okay, you see that little white residue? Yeah, okay, that's calcium carbonate. You have a couple of Torah scrolls with calcium carbonate on the back. So, what we do with scrolls of a certain age, and now I'm going to look, here we are. I'll show you over here, and then I'm going to go over there. When we have scrolls, let me just take out some of these. Here are some white ones. Okay, well, they're pretty light. We have cuttings from the top and the bottom of the Torah. Okay, so I'm going to take out some of these, and then I'm going to take out some of the other ones. Okay, just a sec. Oh, yeah, okay. That's a stark contrast with this group. Wow. Okay, I have some Gideon in there also. Okay, so it's come to this. Well, anyway, because they had a long life in Torah scrolls. As a matter of fact, this was also part of an animal, part of many animals, part of a herd. And whenever we look at a Torah, we're looking at the remnants of a herd of animals. In a 42-line Torah, a large Torah, which would have about 60 large sheets, that's 60 animals. We don't usually think about that. So there's something that I say and other scribes in their prayers, working, ready to write a Torah. We say a blessing for the souls of the animals, because they should be blessed, because their souls go to the highest level of heaven to be remembered for a blessing, because they, before their skins, help to nourish us and our hearts and minds and souls. Those animals nourished 100 years ago, 200 years ago, however old that the Torah might be, they nourished our ancestors who we came from, our great-great-grandparents, people we never met, far away from Tennessee, in other countries. And, how often would we give them a thought when we hold up a Torah? So before we write a Torah, before we write a Torah, we remember them, and these are cuttings from the top and the bottom. I'm going to bring this over. These are cuttings from the top and the bottom of the cloth. They're just, and they're old. This one came off of a Torah that actually was about 300 years old, this cutting. And when I work on older Torahs, and you see, even this, we're not, even this little tiny, even the tiniest piece we can't throw away. It's not refuse. It's not garbage. That little tiny string, actually, that's a piece of gid. That's a piece of the sinew that we sew with. I'm just going to take this over and put it under the lamp. Okay. So that's it. It looks like string.
No, it's very straight cut.
Straight cut? Yeah.
The top of this is very, very straight.
Well, I use a ruler and a scalpel, a number 11 scalpel, and those, when we met, we might take a minute break so you can get a little bit of a stretch, and then you can wander over and look at that. So,
So, I have a question.
yes.
Because you mentioned the four, as Richard said, calf, sheep, goat, deer.
Right.
And you just said, because you're an encyclopedia, that Algeria, we have one that is Yemenite,
Right.
that is that deer?
That
So
yes, that's
my
deer. That is a
question
deerskin
Are there
parchment.
certain regions that favor one of the four? The calf is most ubiquitous, I imagine, but what about the other three?
Well, we have deerskin scrolls, from Africa, but we also have deerskin scrolls from Persia. We have deerskin scrolls from Spain, from the Netherlands. As a matter of fact, it was the Jews
But
who
not as many Ashkenazic
no
deerskin?
Ashkenazic no. Really, it's either calf or goat. Or goat. Yeah. Now members of the family, deer, goat family, gazelle, ibex. We write on those animals' skins as well. As a matter of fact, moose skin. Moose is a member of the deer family. However, you would need a crane to lift a Torah because those skins are very, very heavy. So, no, I don't think there are any that. And giraffe is also a member of that family. I know. It's quite a thought, isn't it? So anyway, I was going to tell you about the calcium carbonate. So this calcium carbonate powder is subject in different weather conditions to not only cracking, and the weather primarily, which is the arch enemy of parchment, is warm, humid weather. And that can really wreak havoc. Now, these strips that I showed you, before they're coated with chalk powder, which is what it is, those cuttings will be boiled in water, and that lets out a glue. And basically glue, regular commercial glues are made of skin and bone. There's no bone in what I prepare. But it's a simple preparation, actually, boiling the skins, and then getting the water to cool, clarifying it, and straining out the impurities through a very fine strainer, and then refrigerating it overnight, and then letting it in the morning. It kind of looks like a Jell-O. Comes with a warning: please do not taste, because feh. And then when it's ready, we just fold in the calcium carbonate powder. And sometimes it's a little more yellow, sometimes the powder's a little more white. If it's white, then it came through Champagne, France. If it's yellow, then it came through Bologna. I don't know why, it just seems to work out that way. And it makes a pretty fast-drying paint. And actually what it does, it keeps the parchment from buckling in the presence of humidity. So if you have maybe a sheepskin diploma at home, and if it's not recessed from the glass, then you're going to see buckling, right? Okay, so it kind of buckles. And when you get buckling parchment, you're also, and if the ink is kind of drying out, and the ink has been gone over several times, like once every generation, maybe a longer generation, 25 years, let's say, the scribe comes in and fixes it, and it should be more often than 25 years. But let's say another 25 years, there's another layer of ink on cracking letters, except going over a cracking letter doesn't work. But actually, that was the practice for a long time, not removing letter. And then there's another layer, and then another layer. Well, you get all these layers of ink and little tiny air bubbles between the layers, and you get warm air, moist air going between the loosely rolled sheets of parchment. Okay, because finishing a service it's not practical all the time to write, tighten up the Torah. And so what happens is we have little flicking, and little pieces of ink can pop. They break. And they break sometimes just from the buckling of the parchment, because when it dries out. So there's all kinds of physical movement in living Torah, because even though a Torah stands still, doesn't walk around and tell us about its life, it still is alive, and there are a lot of living things going on inside the scroll during the physical life of the scroll. So I still have that on the screen. Oh, wow, that's what it looks like up close. That's really something. So when this area here would be sanded off. As a matter of fact, I could lift these up with a scalpel. This is just the nature of the log, which is the white mixture that I was just talking about. You could actually lift off some of these chips. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can do that now. Now, all right, hold on. Let me get a scalpel over here. I'm going to need, that's a very far stretch. I should have asked you to come over. Okay, just a second. Coming right back. Okay. All right. Okay. So, let me do this here. Okay. Let's see if this is going to work. Okay. Do you see this? How this is breaking up? Yeah. In little flakes. I'm just putting the tip of a number 11, that's right. This is a number 11. For all you doctors and dentists watching, I don't know if this is one of your favorite scalpels, but and surgeons. Okay, so basically, we would want to sand the edges. Normally, if this was going to be restored, we would sand this area down. We wouldn't scrape all of this off. The parchment, you really can't tell from where you're sitting, and the home audience can't really tell how thin this parchment is, but it's extremely thin. So we would need to kind of smooth out those hard edges. And then what I'm doing now is I'm redistributing the parchment, the loaf. And if I have my secret sauce liquid mixture, is that a little better? Okay. So that sometimes is enough to smooth it out, and then it can be actually reconditioned so that it won't, you wouldn't have to put another layer on top. And usually another layer on top isn't that good because it's kind of like, once you have chips, it's like, you know what it's like when you paint a wall. You have blistering, you have old blistering paint chips on the wall. If you don't clean the wall, well, then you have a problem. If you paint over it, it's just gonna blister through. So, with this, as in any other projects, of course, you can't remove a piece of parchment from the Torah and have it missing, and read through it. There is a teaching that, and it's in the Talmud, that if the Torah is missing one letter, you may wind up destroying the entire world. That's kind of interesting. There is a teaching also from Dov Ber, Reb Dov Ber of Mezedrich, that a letter of Torah is a world unto itself. And in Hasidus, or in Hasidic studies, what's come out, it's not, and it doesn't belong to the Hasids alone. I'm just going to turn this off for now. Actually, they're teaching that there are 9 worlds of understanding in every letter. 9 worlds. So I'll come over and talk about that now, and then we can go back a little bit to a couple of more things, and then I want to show you how we write in the Torah. Where somebody knows, I'm not looking at a clock, where are we on time, by the way?
40 minutes left.
40 minutes left? Super.
Do you want to leave any time for questions at the end?
Oh, yeah. Oh, we can take questions as we go. As a matter of fact, this is probably a good time, okay? You see how tightly scripted this is. Okay, questions on anything I said so far? Nothing, no questions. Why am I sitting here? Oh, wait, this is a piece of gid. Oh. Even though this is what we sew the Torah together with, by the way. This little piece right here. And even though it's coming apart, I'm really trying with all my might. Yes, now it's starting to unravel. So I'm not going to demonstrate that. It's very, oh no, I won't. It's very, very, very strong, this gidin. And that is, exactly. It's from sinew from the legs of a kosher animal. And I have some good gid here. Okay. So it's been thoroughly cleaned, okay? It's okay to touch if you don't feel like it. You want to hold that end for me, please? Okay. Uh-oh.
How do they get it in one long string like that?
It's kind of knotted, and they're long. The sinew is long, but can you imagine making something that thin, from cutting it, there's many, many, many cuts and grooves on a board. Okay. Yeah, okay. Can you got it? You got this? Yes, it's really, okay. Okay, so now we have so we can make an eruv right around here, and then, or maybe not. Okay, so this comes from sometimes an ox or a goat okay, from the legs, and that this leads us into a little drosh. Emma, would you mind doing me a favor and kind of curl, wrap it up as walk around with it? Okay. So here, I'm going to write a name. I'm going to write a name on a piece of paper, and then maybe you could tell me. I know the rabbis know. Hold on. It's going to make a lot of sense. Just one moment. Tells us something about Torah. We can something. Why? Every element teaches us many things. It is just definitely the letters, but everything. The skin speaks with us. The sinew speaks to us. Now, I'm going to do this. I hope this comes out all right. Okay, fine. All right. Okay. All right. So I'm going to write. This should tell us a lot. You can go all the way. Okay, so who are we talking about here? Yaakov. Jacob. So what's with Jacob, and how does Jacob relate to the sinew? So Jacob struggled. Yaakov struggled with, well, maybe it was a man. Maybe it was a malach, an angel, a messenger. Yaakov was convinced that he saw God. We're never really told. It's never confirmed. I think we're still looking at the Gid. It's never really confirmed. So Jacob never really walked the same way again. He kind of had a limp. Now, some people call this the sciatic nerve. It's really not the sciatic nerve. That kind of brings a little twinge, actually. So, but he kind of limped. When you seriously engage in Torah actually, when we sew the pieces of parchment together in a Torah scroll, the pieces of parchment struggle against each other, but because of the struggle when we engage with Torah and the deeper concepts of Torah and existential concepts, and our purpose and the things that we must live with and bear, the Torah actually is held together through struggle because we struggle with it. And therefore, we have the namesake Yisrael. Struggle with God. It is also a meaning of Yisrael. And Sin and Resh, those two letters are root letters for the word sarit, which means struggle. It's interesting. So we're taught in next week's portion, in Lech Lecha, which has just begun actually, that, of course, Sarai, and we are taught that Sarai means princess. So I'm going to put this down now. There could be another theory, perhaps that Sarah was named after struggle. I beg your pardon? Oh, Yaakov's still here. Yaakov's still here, but just kind of resting till he's called back. Okay, so we have. Now, when we're writing, again, I know I'm going back and forth between restoration and materials, but really, once we're involved in the process of writing letters, we're also thinking about the letters. We're thinking about lessons learned, and we're thinking about the things we've always done, and then we have new realizations. Because, you can concentrate on the letters, but your mind is moving. But as long as your mind is moving around the thing that you're doing, okay? So that when you write a letter of Torah, you're looking at a letter, but you're looking at a number, and you're looking at something that might be indicating a secret. They take on different meanings according to where you are and how you're looking and how much you want to know. So I have these three. I have the sin. I have the sin. And I also have the opportunity to put a crown. Uh-oh. Now that is, thanks for not calling it out, but I just drew that crown, actually not well, say that on the top. Let's say this was the top. The bottom of the crown, which we call a tag and not a keter, this is much better. They can't touch before they hit the roof of the letter. The rules are extremely strict. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rules to this. And they're not universal. There are many different scribal traditions. We have great teachers, and we have a diaspora, and then another diaspora, and then another diaspora, and we meet great teachers of other lands, and ultimately the sons of the original. I didn't say sons and daughters. We now have daughters who are scribes, and granddaughters who are scribes. I know because I've had at least 5 women come through my workshop, and those 5 women are actually making their living as scribes. And I didn't teach them, all. They just learned some restoration with me. Now, but I digress. So the first 2 letters of Sarah's name are actually embedded in Israel. So we have a sin, we have a resh, and then we have a yud. And the yud actually is going right in front instead of Sarai, and Sarai became Sarah. So let's go back to the idea of struggle. Did Sarah have an easy life? Well, think about it. Hurry up and go make cakes. All right, that's one. Oh, another good one is Abraham comes home and says, all the servants of my household will now be circumcised. That was a good day. And Abe was not easy. Let's just put it that way. He wasn't easy to live with. And ultimately, after that awful trial, the day that he and Yitzchak went to that place, they basically kind of separated. So now, Israel, it's interesting, we're just talking about Jacob, who again now has the name Yisrael, okay? And I just wanted a little, just one level of understanding on how we look at Yisrael, and there are things that we see here, there are things that we do not see. And just simply the numbers, and it's something that people look at because it's just part of the meaning. It's just part of the meaning of the word, because the letters are also numbers. But we don't normally speak about the numbers. But every letter gives us different understandings, and these letters also came from pictures. They came from pictures. I just wanted to spend a little time on this. So the Yud is 10. The letter that begins the name Yud-He, Yud-He, Vav-He, that little pointing finger, okay, 10. So it reminds us maybe of a minion. Maybe 300 in Shin can remind us of 300. Well, what could 300s be? 300s could be something that we do, something that we actually say, something we said this morning at services. What did we say? Oh, I went up there. Pull the page back. There you go. Now, This might help, okay? A little crown here, crown. Kuf would stand for many, many, many words, but it gets a crown for Kedusha. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. 100, 200, 300. The Lord of hosts. We rise and we rise and we rise. We had a custom for many years in the ancient world of jumping towards the moon 3 times, higher and higher each time to try to touch the moon. And lo and behold, we couldn't. Just a little too high. And that was a lesson we learned. Much easier to put on a kippah that reminds us that we cannot reach the heavens. Okay? So, again, every letter teaches us something. And the Resh as a 200 and Aleph as a 1, well, just a fast count. 310, 510, 511, and 511 and 30 is 541. So we wind up again with Yud. We go with the 10 again. What does that show us? Well, the presence of the Holy One in Israel. We are reminded that this letter comes from a pointing finger, simply just a pointing finger, okay? Which you'll find at the edge of a yad, okay? That's a very poor drawing. We read with the yad. And it reminds us also of our 10, that is the two hands that we have to create with and the 2 hands that we create to write with. So we look at the letters. This kind of brings us into another word. We are chosen and we choose, uvacharta b'chayim, and therefore choose life, or we choose to write. Kitvu is the beginning of the commandment. It brings us to another word, and then I'm going to stop. I promise. I'm not going to go on and on with this, but this is an important part of reflection during the year of Torah writing, because if you had to just look at the Tikkun, which is the book that we copy from, and copy day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, if you just even do that during the year 304,805 times, and you would write only thinking about only the letters. Aleph, Aleph. Reading. Okay, right, one moment. I'll call you. I'm going to call you. If you saw an Aleph in the book, and then you write an Aleph, and then you saw a Bet, and you go to Bet, and then Gimel, Daled, without thinking about the number, the relationships, the images. What you lose is involvement. We're always learning. We're always putting things together. And yes, please ask your question.
Okay, how long does it take to write a Torah? Oh, I'm sorry. How long does it take to write a Torah?
To write a Torah. Well,
does one person do the whole thing?
Okay, I'll take those 2 questions. Thank you. Okay, so usually the idea is one person will sit down to write a Torah. It's generally written during the course of a year. There are scribes who write more than one Torah during the year, who are very fast and very able to do so. But there is no requirement. A Torah can be written over 2 years or 3 years, or someone who is not a scribe, but who is a good calligrapher, who can write a Torah over the course of many years. So, and we do have, in many, many congregations, we have Torah scrolls that were never written by scribes. It was written because pious individuals really wanted to write a Torah, because that we all have that commandment to write. So, and sometimes we have Torah scrolls that are written by a number of scribes, or over time, when things happen. Maybe the roof of a small wooden synagogue gets a hole in it, or a tree falls on top, or maybe there's a bad flood, and through a leak gets into the ark, and half of the Torah gets wet. So maybe someone has to come along and replace that half of a Torah. or through the years, maybe pieces of Torah get ripped, and the most sacred name of God gets ripped. Well, you have to replace that piece of parchment. Either replace it over a piece that has come from another Torah scroll, an existing Torah which is about to be buried, but that piece of parchment can be restored. It has to have the same number of lines in the column, which is not just 42. We mentioned that number before. It could be other types of lines, number of lines in the Torah. There were some schools, there were some yeshivas with scribal programs, and sometimes someone might give a gift to a yeshiva, and talented students who really know how to write will write one book each. That has happened as well. So I think that answers the two questions. I'm going to finish this up, and I'm just writing kitvu. This means you write. When it has a vav on the end, it's an imperative. And we see immediately in kitvu, we see, is that what I'm looking at? Yes, I'm looking at it right here. But that's it. So kitvu would normally, okay, we're going to put a dagesh here, and we're going to put a dagesh here. Okay, and we'll put, and we'll put a shva here. Okay, so now we have vowels. Kitvu. You write. Well, what are we supposed to write? Well, here's the answer at the beginning of the word. Keter Torah. Kaf, and then a tav. So what's interesting is, the kaf, the letter kaf, which actually, here's the letter kaf, I'm going to put it right here. Here is the letter kaf. This is a kaf. It's a palm of the hand, okay? I'm holding out my hand. You see, when I hold it like this, that's called a kaf, right here. A spoon or a cup is a kaf. Now, I'm holding it up. What letter is that? It's a kaf. If we made a mirror image of the kaf, there is a letter that we inherit. It is a C. That's our C. More than half the English alphabet came from Hebrew through the Phoenician letters. We don't realize it when we're writing. So we're looking here, we look at Keter Torah, and then we look at the bet, which is a roof and a wall and a floor. Bet. We're sitting in a bet, we're sitting in a bet HaMidrash, we study Torah. In a bet tefillah, in a bet hakneset, a house of assembly. A bet is a bayit. And then, so the keter Torah in the house, and then a vav. A vav stands for and it stands for continuity, yesterday and today and tomorrow. So the imperative is you do it, this is to be done continually. All the letters are teaching us, and yes, it means and, but it means many other things. The vav comes from a tent peg. So that's interesting. we have one other letter. I'd like to put that letter right up here because it teaches us something. Okay? There's a vav sitting over a kaf. There's a tent peg, something that might indicate that there is something coming from a heavenly region to our hand, perhaps even like a commandment. Well, we get a commandment, we think about if God in heaven, we're almost always looking up and hardly ever look down. A tent peg, something attaches to our hand, the hand that we write to. We understand that as a nomadic people, the sky is our roof on our home. Our nomadic peoples wander under the sky and see the stars, the symbols of the children that will be born and will be lights unto them. So, this is kind of the thought that goes through the mind. Well, we're looking at this, but just trust me on the math. Kitvu comes to 248, which comes to a 14. And a 14, I'm going to put this right here, is a hey. Okay, is a yud, actually. Well, let's do it this way. A yud and a dalet. Okay, the word yad, can we see it? Is it in there? I'll put it in the box. Can you see it? We can? Good. Yud Dalet is a 14. 248 is a 14. 248 is the number that Abraham says. Abraham in the next week's Torah portion, in this week's Torah portion, is going to get that number. 248 columns are in the Torah. That is 245 plus 3 double columns, like the Song of the Sea. Now, that's an interesting, kind of an interesting connection. Maybe it doesn't tell us that much. But what would happen if we took the Daled? What would happen if we took the Daled and put the Yud inside of the Daled? What letter would we then have? We have a letter Hey right here. And that's 5, because what we're writing is the 5 books of Moses. And the Hey is based on the Phoenician symbol of a chalon, of a window, that the 5 books of the Torah are a window to the past and a window to the present, how that God looks at us through the window of Torah and judges us through the window of Torah, and that is part of the last commandment of the Torah. You see, the numbers help us ultimately to wander in wonder. Occasionally, and very often, and especially when you write a Torah, and you're so involved in the process of writing, this is what it says, pshat, that is to read it pshat, and then the resh, like the resh of Pardes. This is, I'm talking about now about Pardes. Do you teach Pardes? Remez, the hint. What is the letter hinting at? The letter itself, what does it hint at? Well, as you wander through the orchard, the beautiful orchard of the letters and words of Torah, and you're looking for meaning, well, the remez is a hint, but maybe the hint will lead us through the drash, the interpretation. How do we interpret our hints? What's being hinted at? And maybe through the interpretation we wind up with samech, sod, pei, reish, daled, samach, pardes. And then we learn the secret. There is a secret in these words. There is a secret embedded in these letters. And so, having said that, I'm going to ask for questions, but then we're going to do something more tachlis. That is, we're going to write. I'm going to demonstrate some writing and clean this little area, but I want to ask if there are any questions. Anyone have a question? A thought? No? Okay. And on time, we have 10?
17 minutes.
Fantastic. Okay. Do we need a break time or no break time? We're just going to go through?
Come up and watch you.
That's also fine.
That'd be great.
Yep. Okay. So let me just, I didn't want to roll the Torah over this. Okay. Okay. Get this off. Okay. Oh, I had these feathers out. But, well, you can come up. Come on. Come on up. Okay. Move this out of the way. Yeah, I do.
We could roll the Torah on that side too, if that's easy.
Oh, yeah? Well, actually, we could just... Oh, yeah, we can do that. I have brushes. That's right. Thank you. Okay.
She cuts her own quills. I didn't know that.
Yes? You cut your own quills? Wonderful.
These quills are special to you, obviously.
Especially what?
They're special to you.
Yes, I couldn't live without them, actually. Yes, and I should have been soaking this one, because I can't write in the Torah, and that writing was a little, okay.
I'm sorry, I'll take her to see her daughter. I have to leave in a minute to take her to see her daughter.
Okay. All right, so...
Your granddaughter.
Oh, well, that's very good at getting half of it on the floor. Okay, hold on. Ta-da-ta-ta. I'm just going to we'll get, and they won't really stick, this really won't stick to the Torah. Anyway, this is just a little, we use these to clean the Torah. These are bits of vulcanized rubber, these rubber sponges, and when we start cleaning the Torah with these, the first level of cleaning is with sponges, because it takes off carbon black powder, which sometimes clouds the words after a number of decades or centuries. So let's put this down over here, just on the end, and I have water over there in the red cup. Let's see. All right. So. Okay. Okay, now what is it? So we are here. Why can I not find? Here we are. Okay. Okay. I knew I saw the priestly. We saw it before, right? Okay. I saw it before, and there it is. Let's take that over here. Okay. Okay. Good. Now that we've done that, I haven't done something, so we have to kind of move this, and because I want to. Okay, we'll leave that there, and I need a little piece of paper, tiny piece of paper. There was a. What? No, not that paper. Not that paper. It's another roll. It's kind of like a roll. Yeah, that'll do. What? Yeah, it's that. I'll take this one too. Thank you. And this, just in case I mess up. Okay, so, okay.
Do you make your own ink?
I have made ink. Actually, it's really a long process. So, yeah, it's a long process. The ink is traditionally cooked. And just a moment. And during a year, and it's kind of like making a roux. You keep adding to it, adding to it. So I'm going to, before writing in the Torah, we need to, hold on. I'm going to get some ink in the cap. I'm not going to use this inkwell, which my wife got in the souk in Yerushalayim, was represented as coming from the 1st century for a few shekels, and well, maybe it didn't come from the 1st century. And it has Samson on it, and it has the grapes, probably from the Nephilim, when the 2 spies came back carrying grapes. It's really lovely. I really like this inkwell, but it has an indeterminate origin. Okay, I'm just putting some ink in here. So, no one asked me about where what's in the ink. I can tell you if you want to know, but perhaps we'll wait on that. Okay. All right, let's get this over here. Okay. So, well, I can show. Maybe we want to show it. So let's see. Okay. Okay. Da-da-da. Okay. So, in Deuteronomy 25, chapter 25, verse 19, there is a commandment that we follow before writing it in a Sefer Torah. And that commandment says, Timche et zecher Amalek mitachat hashamayim, lo tishkach. Remember to blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. Never forget. Because Amalek is the ancient enemy of Israel. And so we write the name and then we cross it out. Not that we are superstitious, because we are not a superstitious people. Toi, toi, toi. Kanei Nahara, we should be superstitious. We don't believe in anything superstitious. But we have to follow the commandment. It's a little confusing because we have to always forget it, but we have to remember it first. So we're going to write. But this makes it harder to forget. Okay. And then we say the blessing of 7 words, which thanks God for teaching our hands to write the letters. I'd like you to repeat that after me, okay? And then I'm going to chant it, just 7 words, and then write, okay? So please say, Baruch Hamlamed et Yadi L'Saper et Haotiot. Baruch Hamlamed et Yadi L'Saper et Haotiot. Okay, I just put a little more down here. That's a little water coming through. Okay, lamed, lamed, lamed. Kuf. Kuf. Now, so we make a crown. So I'll finish, then I'll say it is my choice not to just write this word in a sloppy way. Because the letters of Torah still have to be honored, okay? And yet, even though we think of Amalek as our enemy, the ayin, which is the letter that gives us vision, is followed by the mem to remember that we all live inside with the understanding that we are in a holy place when we are guided by our masters. And that spells, ayin mem is which spells people, following the lamed, the malamed, the teacher, the one who teaches us, who leads us, hopefully, even in our different religions, to kedusha, to holiness. There are things in here which have nothing to do with the enemy, but we have the commandment. We have the commandment, and those who go to fight are on all sides, on both sides, convinced that they are fighting for the holy way. And this is very typical. So we also remember on the other side all of the humanity of those days. As we cross out, we blot out the memory of Amalek. And that
You do this every time before you start writing.
oh yeah, yes. So then, realizing that we are alive and we are here is a cause for celebration, so we can all say together, Asher Hechianu, Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Shehechianu v'kimonu v'gianu lazman hazeh, Amen v'amen. Okay, so let me move. I'm going to move this. May I have that ink? Actually put it back, please, because I'm going to use it. I'm going to use the ink, but not with this quill. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Just a moment.
What feathers do you use?
Well, these are turkey feathers, goose feathers, turkey feathers. Hold on, let's
I assume it has
see.
to come from a kosher bird.
That is correct. That is correct. Just a second. So since it was Shabbat, there was no time to carve these quills beforehand. So I'm just making sure that I have here what I need, and that other paper that came over. Yeah, here we go. I can see what I'm doing now. Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, good. All right, let me just cut this. Okay. Good and good. That should give us a nice. Okay, that's fine. Wow, I'm glad I tested it. See, this is my software. It's very soft. The hard drive is supposedly in here, but it's getting softer, I think, with each passing year. But Such is the way of the world. So, okay, I am just taking the liquid. See, the barrel of the quill is hollow. Once we make it hollow, we have to get our blade in there and take out these little plastic, they look like little plastic rings out of the inside of the quill, and then it starts getting chalky, right, around here and then running up here. This is solid, but we can only use the hollow. See, we use the hollow side. Okay, so, and some of those quills got mashed down because I had to make thin points. Well, you know, it happens with quills when they get wet. Yeah, okay. So, hold on. Okay. All right, let's, let's get this over here. Okay, now you see, okay, can we get this so that, yeah, let's get to where we're writing. Okay. Can you hand me that the big book over here? Rabbi Dreyfus was very kind to lend me this tikkun. That little book actually is one I use quite frequently. This is another tikkun for a 42-line Torah. It does not have any vowels in it at all. It's 21 lines on each page. And this book is about 120 years old, and it shows it. I just acquired it recently. It was a gift from a rabbi, and I love it. It's wonderful. But I want to show you in this book. Let me see. Okay, I'm coming. So I just wanted to show. Then we won't refer to this book. We're going to do this now. Okay. So many of these crowns have faded. Okay, and okay.
You can see up close right here. You can see up close right here, and then also, I just want to point out which portion of the Torah we're reading from, or you're about to write from.
Right now, we are in Naso, and in chapter 6 of the book of Bamidbar, and this is actually the priestly blessing. You can see that there is a kind of a shape here, an empty space. And I want to show you something, okay? Do you see the sign of that the priests showed us 2,500 years ago? Okay, well, actually, that fits right in there. The hand fits right in there. That's done intentionally to remind us that they were there blessing us. And what it says is, Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, etc. That is what is shown in the Torah. So what I'm doing here now is darkening some of the crowns which have faded. Okay? So, now can you, yep, I guess can. Okay. So we have a little fading over here. Now, is that dot, can you see that dot that just went on? Very well. Okay. So, okay, hold on. Now, okay. Can you see V'yishmerecha over there? Yod. There's another commandment called Hidur Mitzvah, to beautify the commandments, and all of this. Now, it beautifies the commandments, these little details, and here we can really say it's all in the details. So, now for whatever reason, the crowns were not affixed to the holiest name of God in the Torah, so I'm going to respect that. When I do my job, I have to look at 304,805 letters, and wherever I find cracks or chips or fading, there are cracks in this Torah in other areas. However, I have been here before, and I have restored many of these letters. So we have in panav, in the word panav, you could see the break. The next crown, first I want to make the crown stronger, a little bit stronger. That's a little thick over there. Hold on. We can't, it does not touch the chaf sofit above. It looks like it's touching from here, but it's not touching. The letters may not touch each other. Okay, there's a little crack in alecha, in the aleph, which I've just restored. There is no crown on the yud. I'm restoring the crown over the yud. Yod. Can you see way over here in Vichoneka?
So, which letters get crowns?
The letters that get the triple crown, so to speak, Shin, Ayin, Tet, Nun, Gimel, Zayin, and Sadi, and those letters get crowns for the divine attributes. The Nun, that is, God has attributes that we receive. Okay, and there. Okay, Nun stands for Ne'eman. Okay, trustworthiness, and also stands for freedom. The Yoval, Yuval, Jubilee, all slaves going free in the 50th year. There's a little break here in Yoel, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is what also increases holiness. You have a question? Yes.
How quick does that ink dry?
Oh, it's going to be dry very, very quickly.
Roll it back up, is it wet?
Oh, no, we give it ample time to dry. So the last, we want to take, if I can have just like about a half a minute, okay? Can we just, I'd like to ask you to sit down, because we're really in our last minute. There is something I would like to say. I would like to address something. I do believe that there is tremendous meaning in the teaching that God's name is unpronounceable. It's an ineffable name. It is something that the priests would pronounce behind the Holy of Holies. If we think about the holiest name in the Torah, has no syllable, okay? There's no syllable, there's no or p or t sound. Okay, there we would say, we write yud, and then we write hey, and then we write vav, and then we write hey, as the holiest name in the Torah. Now imagine yourself standing in the desert. We are a nomadic people. You are standing, you're looking up in the stars, and then all of a sudden there is a ruach. Ruach means wind or spirit, and breath is actually in the ancient world called ruach hanefesh, the wind of the soul. So you're standing there alone, 2 a.m., and wind brushes your cheek. And you think, what is the source of that wind? And there's a sound. Yud, a sound of yud is yah. The sound of hey is hey. The sound of vav, because the vav is wav, actually, in the original pronunciation, it's wav, and then wah, and then so what's an ineffable name of the one who gave us Ruach, the Ruach HaNefesh? It's wind. It's ineffable, it's invisible, yet it must have a source. And can you imagine looking up at the sky and around you, and you have tangible evidence that there is something, and we're not alone, knowing that there is a source. There's a source. There is something from heaven. That's where we have to actually stop. Okay? Shalom. Thank you.
It's interesting
Thank
you put it that way, because if you're standing out there and you're listening to the wind,
Mm-hmm.
you could really think of it as God saying His name.
That's right. You can. That's right. I think you just said that. It's good.
Well, I just want to thank Sofer and Yerman so much for being with us today. And all week you've been here taking care of our sacred scrolls. Thank you so much for allowing us to have such beautiful, well cared for, and just a Torah that there's an idea that you shared earlier that each one of us is a letter in the scroll. Each Jew has their own letter in the scroll. And so thank you for making that possible for this community.
Thank you. It's an honor and pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And for those of you watching at home with kids or here with kids or grandkids, Sofer and Nia will be here tomorrow morning at the Wendy and Avron Fogelman Religious School all morning, teaching our youngest to our oldest kids all about the Torah. So thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.